desk, record heat. The mercury right now on the National Weather Desk, record heat. The mercury is soaring out west. Could this be a sign of things to come?
This is what our country's going to look like going forward.
Oklahoma twisters. What's behind the rise in tornadoes across the state this year?
This is only the third year where we've seen 100 tornadoes by the end of May.
Ever wonder what tools meteorologists use to make their long-term forecasts?
Global patterns, ocean temperatures, and a long list of varying ensembles.
The sky isn't falling in North Carolina, but some space debris apparently did.
There's probably other parts of this somewhere, other places.
And how to get the juiciest tomatoes in your garden this year.
You want sun shining on those flowers and soon-to-be tomatoes.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. More heat records will fall today as temps soar across the West and South Texas. More than 35 million Americans are under various heat alerts today. Triple-digit temperatures are expected from Northern California to the Arizona desert. Gene Sullivan has more.
A sizzling start to meteorological summer. In parts of the Southwest, temperatures are soaring into the triple digits. More than 17 million Americans in California, Nevada, Utah, and Arizona are under excessive heat warnings through the end of the week. Palm Springs, California, and Phoenix, Arizona could see temperatures near 112 degrees. And this is just the first full week of meteorological summer.
This is what our country's going to look like going forward.
These temperatures are 10 to 20 degrees above normal for this time of year. The dangerous temperatures are being caused by a heat dome, which is a large high-pressure system that sits over a specific area and traps in air and heat. Last summer, 645 people in Maricopa County, Arizona, which includes Phoenix, died from heat-related deaths, making it the deadliest on record, according to county officials. Many worry this could be another dangerous summer for heat.
All signs point to this summer being hotter than last year. Will it be a record? It could well be.
The unseasonably hot weather is particularly concerning for areas prone to wildfires. In Tracy, California, which is an hour due west of San Francisco, firefighters are battling the Corral Fire, which has burned 14,000 acres since Saturday.
We can see the yellow grass there. Now it's like, everything is burnt out and we see black.
These searing temperatures only making conditions worse. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Even Green Bay, Wisconsin, not a place you typically associate with hot weather, saw temperatures soar into the 80s yesterday. Meteorologist Phil DeCastro looks at why humid days feel hotter than others.
The dog days of summer are quickly approaching, and it sure felt like it in Green Bay Tuesday afternoon. Temperatures reached the mid-80s, and the heat index soared into the 90s at times because of the humidity. But if you ask Taylor Teskey, the hotter the better for her afternoon walk breaks from work.
I feel so great. It's been raining so much, so it's nice to get out of the office for a little while to break up the day and go for a little walk and just, enjoy some sunshine.
When we say the heat index feels like it's higher than the air temperature, that's because your body is reacting to a combination of the warmth and the humidity as if that temperature was actually much higher. So when it gets hot out, you start to sweat. That's the body's best way of trying to cool down under most circumstances. Ideally, the sweat that's on your skin then evaporates into the air. It's that process of water going from a liquid to a gas that absorbs heat and pulls it away from your skin. It helps you to cool off. But when it's really humid out, the air already has a lot of water in it. So that means that the sweat on your skin well, it doesn't evaporate as readily into the air around you. The air just can't hold much more water than it already has in it. And when your body can't effectively regulate its temperature, things like heat exhaustion and heat stroke become bigger risks. Your body just can't get rid of its own heat as well as it normally does. And that's why it's important to find ways to help your body cool off on these hot and humid days.
Wisconsin also saw storm damage Monday night. The National Weather Service is surveying the damage. A strong overnight storm toppled trees and damaged buildings near Fond du Lac. 4 people were in one home when a large tree fell, smashing through the windows. A nearby shed was also damaged. Initial reports indicate the winds may have topped 80 miles per hour. Storms also struck East Texas Monday night. Powerful winds knocked down trees and also power lines, cutting power to nearly 100,000 homes and businesses. Several roads were also flooded. This has been one of the most active tornado seasons in years. The Storm Prediction Center has received more than 1,100 tornado reports since January, with 63 as possible EF2 or stronger. 100 of those have been in Oklahoma. That's double what the state typically sees by this time every year. Nearly all of those tornadoes happened in April and May, and 2 of them were EF4, the most violent in Oklahoma in 8 years.
Since modern tornado records have started in 1950, this is only the 8th year that Oklahoma has seen 100 or more tornadoes. This is only the 3rd year where we've seen 100 tornadoes by the end of May.
So you may be wondering why so many tornadoes in a short span of time. That's because the overall weather pattern that could produce severe storms started earlier in the month of April, and it never went away. It can be hard to predict weather long term. So what tools does the Climate Prediction Center use when making a long-term temperature outlook? Meteorologist Kate Alexander breaks it down for us.
The Climate Prediction Center is calling for temperatures to be below normal over a large portion of the eastern United States over the next 8 to 14 days, lasting until June the 17th. However, the 3-month outlook is calling for above normal temperatures over many of the same locations. There is an exhaustive list of criteria that the Climate Prediction Center looks at before making a long-term forecast, a couple of which include global patterns, ocean temperatures, and a long list of varying ensembles. An ensemble isn't just a single forecast, rather it's a computer model that is run multiple times from different starting conditions. It's interesting to note the information issued by the Climate Prediction Center is consistent with some long-term ensemble members. In particular, the European Extended Range Mean Anomaly, which consists of 100 ensemble members. These long-term climate maps are suggesting a denser atmosphere at the beginning and middle of June, consistent with cooler temperatures. And then notice as we go longer term how the 591 millibar map moves as far north as the Tennessee Valley by the middle of July. The warmer colors are also indicating above normal temperatures. This is just one of many examples. So, the official start of summer kicks off on June the 20th. If this data holds true, summer heat may also soon follow.
And some concerns among those who raise cattle. Drew Powell has more on why numbers are down and what can make things worse in the future.
In Texas, the cattle numbers are the lowest they've been since 1961. In the U.S., they're the lowest they've been since 1951.
In order to rebuild the cattle numbers, conditions have to allow. The drought, combined with rising input costs, are making it tougher to increase the overall inventory of cattle.
A lack of rain and a lack of moisture is one of the big contributing factors. The cost of land is another contributing factor.
We've seen drought conditions in the south and southeastern United States, where many of our feeder cattle come from.
Numbers released in January didn't account for the number of cattle lost in the wildfires in February and March.
So any additional impact that we see that further reduces those cow numbers is a negative impact on our overall cattle supply.
Mike Ollinger has raised cattle for decades and says there are other factors contributing to the decline in cattle numbers. He adds livestock producers are some of the hardest hit by urban sprawl.
A lot of it has to do with maybe buildings and stuff like that going on in southern Texas compared to up here. But you know what? We've got to have grass and we've got to have wheat to raise cattle.
Now let's check the weather in cities across the country today. We begin in Ocean City, New Jersey, where skies are cloudy and afternoon showers are possible, highs in the mid-70s. Next, we head over to Chicago, Illinois, where showers are possible this morning with cloudy skies in the afternoon and highs in the upper 70s as well. We head down to Austin, Texas next, where skies are mostly cloudy. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. It's going to be hot today in Austin with a high of 94 degrees. And we're going to end things off right here, San Francisco, where there's a mix of sun and clouds today, highs in the mid-70s. Things could get a little windy, though, with gusts near 20 miles per hour possible there as well. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how dust from the Sahara Desert can impact hurricane season right here in the U.S. and tips for keeping your pet safe during those hot summer months.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. The heat is building in the Northeast today. Look at these temperatures surging into the 80s. There'll be a touch of humidity as well. Our greatest chance for thunderstorms today will be in northern New England and parts of New York. Elsewhere, look for more hazy sun. A stubborn upper low will start to play games with us on Thursday. Most of the Northeast will get into some showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. That's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Temperatures will be cooler with highs in the 60s and 70s.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Your Wednesday starts out partially dry. A few showers are possible, but it looks like widespread showers and thunderstorms become likely towards your afternoon and evening hours. We will not see the activity beginning to dwindle until the overnight, but Thursday we could see another round of showers and thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon. Rain-cooled air may help to keep temperatures down a bit on your Wednesday afternoon. Highs may only reach the mid-80s and will still be in the low 80s on Thursday.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Here's a look at our highs for this afternoon. Most of us getting into the 90s. We are in that meteorological period of summer. So we have a low pressure system moving across the southeast. We'll see a cold frontal boundary branching off to the southeast, or branching off to the southwest rather. It'll bring rain, potentially some strong wind gusts, and even an isolated tornado to the area. That'll be through overnight hours heading into Thursday morning. Showers continue on the back end of it.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Hurricane season is officially here, but June hurricanes are pretty rare. Meteorologist Evan Chikvera explains why.
So where do we look for development in June? Well, there's not a ton to look at. It's not the most active month. It's the very beginning, so our water temperatures are usually just now getting at that appropriate level here. But we do look at areas along the Gulf Stream, parts of the Caribbean, and essentially all the Gulf of Mexico. The reasoning for that? Warmer water temperatures. It's a shallower water basin, and we typically see the numbers get to that crucial level, about 80 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit, a little bit sooner. If we thin down the list even more, this is a look at where hurricanes in the month of June have formed going back to 1944. It is a very small sample size. We just don't get that many hurricanes this time of year. Number one, our water temperatures usually aren't where they need to be. Number two, you've got to have your atmospheric conditions right. You don't want a lot of wind shear to happen, and a lot of times we will still have that in the month of June. This is a look at just systems that have been in the Gulf of Mexico over the last season. This was in 2023. We only had one of them in June. That was June 1st through 3rd. That was Arlene. Didn't really do a whole lot. Spun around in the Gulf for a couple days and then dissipated. You had Idalia that had the biggest impact there, the Florida Big Bend. Then you had Harold, which was a tropical storm as it moved into southern parts of Texas. Water temperatures, though, well, they're pretty warm. So this will be a reason to keep an eye out in the month of June for potential development. Now, you need a lot more than warm water temperatures. But looking at our readings here today, we have temperatures in the low to middle 80s, certainly primed for at least the talk of development. We're clear now, but certainly something to watch as we move forward in the season.
How can lots of dust from the Sahara impact the formation of tropical storms? Meteorologist Taylor Canast explains.
Believe it or not, something as small as dust can have a large impact on the potential for hurricanes. Dust from the Saharan desert in Africa is often swept into the atmosphere, then carried out over the Atlantic Ocean by the westward blowing trade winds. Tropical systems are more likely to develop when there is an abundance of moisture and when sea surface temperatures are above 80 degrees. Saharan dust disrupts these ingredients in a couple of ways. One, by drying out the atmosphere, and two, by reflecting some sunlight and causing the air and water below it to cool a few degrees. These plumes of dust can also create a cap that suppresses daytime thunderstorms from developing. Not only can Saharan dust prevent tropical systems from forming, but any hurricane that has already formed and moves into a dusty environment will likely weaken.
The warmer weather is here, and that means people are getting their vegetable gardens planted. Maine meteorologist Ryan Munn explains how to get the ripest red tomatoes this season.
Juicy tomatoes are a summertime favorite, and they're not hard to grow at home.
So one important point when planting tomatoes, really any tomato, is to plant it deep. So right here, it's the soil level in the growing pot. When you get it to your garden, you want to plunge it in so it's at about that level. So plant it at least halfway down.
Whether you're growing them in the ground or in a pot, it's important to stay proactive in cleaning up and trimming your tomato plant.
So a sucker grows in between the main stem and the side branches. The sucker will continue to grow up, and it shades these flowers right here, okay? That's not good. You want sun shining on those flowers and soon to be tomatoes.
It's also important to buy the right soil and fertilizer.
The best thing is you want a nice organic and natural soil.
Okay.
To either plant in the container or to supplement in the ground. The last thing I would mention, be it in a container or in the soil, a good natural fertilizer too, for it to grow.
Do you have some of this at home?
Not a chemical fertilizer. You want a nice, safe, natural fertilizer for your tomatoes.
Skillen says that when watering tomatoes in the ground, you want to water them 2 to 3 times a week. A container plant will need water every day.
In Texas, the hotter temperatures mean a return of toxic algae in local lakes. Betty Cross looks at what officials are doing to try and get rid of the algae in Lady Bird Lake.
This is the 4th summer. These bags are being loaded on boats, so Lady Bird Lake will be safer for people and pets. The modified clay product is designed to remove phosphorus from the lake and improve water quality. Getting rid of toxic algae became a priority in 2019 when parts of Lady Bird Lake looked like this. The first documented harmful algae bloom had mats so large and thick, kayaks and canoes struggled to push through them at Redbud Isle and Barton Creek. These are those same areas today. The water under the bridge at Barton Springs Road and at Redbud Isle have smaller amounts of toxic algae.
We're still analyzing the actual toxin data to see if we're getting associated changes or declines. Anecdotally, visually, I've noticed, especially around Redbud Isle, declines in the amount of algal biomass.
Dr. Brent Bellinger talked to us from a Wisconsin conference on toxic algae. This year, a 3rd location was added. It's a chance to double check that the product does not have detrimental impacts on the ecology and biology of the lake.
Around Redbud Isle, where we've been applying this for the past 4 years, it has not impacted plants. The plants are thriving and doing great around Redbud Isle. So the next thing we're going to look at is the bugs. The bugs are kind of the next step in the food web, and we want to make sure that they're also not being adversely impacted.
A mysterious object fell from the sky recently in the mountains of North Carolina. There is speculation that the object is debris from a SpaceX spacecraft, although that has yet to be confirmed. Jason Berger has that story.
We heard a thump on the roof right above me, and I came outside to see what might have hit. I looked out in the yard and saw this piece laying in the yard, and at first glance it looked like a dead crow had flown into my house and fell there, but I came down and I took a stick to poke it, and I realized it wasn't a crow, of course.
Wooten says that was around dusk on May 21st.
That's titanium, I'd say.
Baffled, his son-in-law reached out a few days later.
He said, look at this article on WLS-TV. He said, that piece you've got, it goes with this.
That other piece, what you're looking at now, was discovered on a trail in Canton.
Compared to the Canton piece that was so big it had to be towed, this only weighs a few pounds, but the similarities are obvious. You can see the carbon fiber weaving and the apparent burn marks here. The similarities are obvious.
There's a place here it could be.
Wooten thinks they go together.
It looks like one place that this almost looks like it would fit.
There's been no confirmation, but Jonathan McDowell, an astronomer and astrophysicist at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, shared this post on X, saying, quote, "This definitely looks consistent with being a bit of Crew 7 Dragon's trunk," sharing a map of re-entry that goes right over Canton and very close to Franklin.
And I'm assuming there's probably other parts of this somewhere, other places, you know. I don't know if they've been reported, but...
Wooten plans to reach out to the folks with the Glamping Collective and see if the two pieces match up.
I mean, I have no use for it, but I'm just really curious to see what it is and what it's from.
And time now for a short break, but first we take flight over beautiful Montana.
Good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. The scattered showers and storms continue to work their way east for the day today into the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley region as we continue into the day tomorrow. Still kind of working its way to the far eastern portions of the Midwest, while most of the plains dealing with a beautiful day tomorrow. As we continue on into your Friday, dry for most of the region, and temperatures slowly warming up a little bit more as we get back into the 80s and a lot of 70s to the north.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. It's starting off way too warm down deep into South Texas. It's pretty nice from Amarillo back over in Oklahoma City at about 67 degrees. Got a little bit of a weak front there, stationary, sitting up here. We're going to be watching for another batch of some showers, maybe some thunderstorms that could fire up, but it looks like it's going to be a really hot day overall. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Wednesday morning, too. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Sunshine and a lot of heat back in the desert Southwest. 109 today in the Valley of the Sun, easily the warmest of the year so far there in Phoenix. 85 in Boise and 89 out of Salt Lake City with gusty winds on the way toward Jackson Hole. Next weather maker other than that heat and high pressure, little chance for some scattered showers there through the northern section of Idaho. And that's the scene from here.
As the heat continues to bake the West, an important reminder from meteorologist Chris Suchan about your pets.
With already excessively hot temperatures building in parts of the country, more ahead in the summer months, it's not just about your heat safety awareness, but also your dogs here and the surface you choose to walk your dog on. So a friendly reminder on how hot it gets. I'm meteorologist Chris Suchan. Here you have it. Shaded grass, it's about 95 degrees. That's an air temperature of 95 to 100. In the full sun, it's a little hotter on the grass. So this is the optimal place to walk your dog in the middle of the afternoon if it can't be in the morning or in the evening. Concrete is at 125, and there is a burn time there, but it's about 5 minutes at 120 or a little hotter. Asphalt, though, is where there's a real rapid burn that sets in with their little paws here. 160 degrees, that's roughly the surface temperature, around 100 degrees, a minute or less, and their little paws are really getting a nasty burn here. So things to think about here besides just trying to keep cool and water hydration. Also, it's where you choose to walk your dog here. Don't forget, again, grass to concrete, those optimal places there to keep their little paws safe.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Wednesday, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.